Hi everybody. Okay, so we're going to go over how to use the Psych portal and how to join it. And I'm going to go ahead and use the modules button. I created this navigation button called Psych portal that isn't quite working the way I wanted it. It launches it in this frame right here, and I'm not sure that's going to work perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Psych portal link that's in the week 1 module. Every week I have listed under the header Psych portal the assignments that you'll complete at the Psych portal. So these assignments are just for me to put your grades into. They aren't the actual assignments. You're going to want to instead click on the link that says Psych portal. Click the load in a new window button and it'll take you to this logon page. Now, if you have not yet purchased a textbook, you can go ahead and click on this button that says Purchase Access to Psych portal. And you can go through the process of ordering your text, of paying for and getting access immediately to this website with an ebook. You won't have a paper text, but you'll have an ebook, and this will cost you $60. So you can click on, and this is also, by the way, what you'll do if you haven't gotten your book that you ordered, if you haven't gotten it yet, and you need to start getting your schoolwork done, because I will not accept your work late due to you not having your textbook yet. This is what you'll do to buy access that then you can get a refund for later. So let's walk our way through it. So to purchase the access, we're going to go ahead and select Washington, because everybody is a Washington State student for at least the purposes of this class. Select your institution. Not all of my Psych portals have been created yet. So if you're a Lake Washington student, you'll select that. If you're a Walla Walla student, you'll select that. If you're a Washington Online student, that will appear on this drop-down menu. If you're a Bellevue College student, that'll appear here. So you'll select the school that you attend once it officially appears. And then you're going to select the course or instructor, and it should automatically prompt you to pick the correct one. So that's how you pick your course. The next page is going to give you the information for actually buying the text. So that's for those of you who are buying the textbook. So step 1 is figuring out what course you're trying to join, and then buying your text. So just to repeat, you're going to select your school from the drop-down menu. If your school isn't there yet, please don't try and join a different school, okay? Wait until your school is on the list. To register an activation code, if you bought a bundle and your activation code is part of the bundle that you bought, then you're going to be registering an activation code. You'll enter your activation code here and your name and other information, pick a password, that kind of thing. And then you're going to go through the same process that we did on the last page, which is picking your class. So again, you're going to go ahead and pick Washington, and then you're going to find your school from this list. And like I said, so far, the Psych portal has only created Lake Washington and Walla Walla classes. There will be a Bellevue College listing, and there will be a Washington Online College listing, a WAOL college listing. So if you're a student in WAOL, you're going to pick that as your institution. If you're Bellevue, you pick Bellevue, Lake Washington, or Walla Walla. Okay, so you pick your school. I have to pick a school, and then it'll prompt me to pick my instructor, and I should be the only person on the list. There shouldn't be any confusion on that part. And then you'll just click next. So if you already have your access code, then you enter it, fill in all this information. If you're buying access, then you have to go through the additional aspect of buying, giving a credit card and so on. If you haven't gotten your textbook yet, you can buy access, and within 14 days, contact Worth Publishers and they'll give you a full refund. So keep track of when you registered and stuff so that you can make sure that you're getting your money back within 14 days, because they are going to be hard and fast on the 14 days. Okay, so I'm already registered, so I'm going to go ahead and log in. it takes a little bit for the courses to load. There's a lot of material in these Psych portals, and so it takes a second. If you're on a dicey connection, it will take longer. So a good solid connection is beneficial when you're going to be working in the Psych portal. Once you're in the Psych portal, for you, it should only show the school that you're intending to be in. I'm a participant in all of these, so I'm just going to go to the generic one to start off with. And then I'm going to go to Student View so you can see what it looks like for you. All right, so there are a couple of things on this first page that I wanted to point out. This will pop up every time, this yellow part that tells you you should not use Chrome or Safari as your browser when you're in this Psych portal. Now you might think to yourself, well, I'm on Safari and it's working fine, so I don't understand what they're talking about. But apparently the situation critical comes when you have completed an assignment and then your grade doesn't get recorded correctly to the grade book. And so as far as it looks to me, you never did the assignment. And I can only believe my own eyes and look at the grade book and say there's no points here. That's all I can say. And so if you use Chrome or you use Safari and you don't get credit, you only have yourself to blame. You need to use Explorer or you need to use Firefox, and you can download those for free off the internet. So you're going to need one of those for the Psych portal. You don't want to lose your homework. The other thing I wanted to point out is that they use this box as a way to give you announcements. And so don't just assume it's telling you about Chrome and Safari again, because every time I log in, it gives me the same important note about Chrome and Safari. Don't assume that's the only thing that's there. They, in a different color usually, will tell you additional stuff. In this particular message, they're doing planned maintenance starting Friday, January 3rd at 2 a.m. Eastern, which is technically 11 p.m. Pacific time Thursday night. So everything is going to be reported Eastern time, and they usually will do this kind of downtime in the middle of the night for them, which is actually just later in the nighttime for us. And I know a lot of my students do a lot of their work between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. So you could be impacted by the times that they think are middle of the dead night, between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. Or between 2 a.m. and 5 p.m. They're thinking, oh, who's going to be working on the Friday after New Year's? Well, a lot of you guys who are getting access to your classrooms might be working at those times because it's Pacific time and school starts on Monday and, these kinds of things. So please note, if they have planned downtime, don't expect to use that time for your homework. The good news is they usually plan the downtime for weekends and stuff like that, and we don't have assignments due on those days. So that's part of why I moved all my assignments off of weekends, because I knew I'd be using this portal. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close that message. Now this set of announcements I created, and this is to remind you what you're doing here. Why am I here? So you're going to start by clicking on this Assignment Center tab, and you'll find all of your assignments listed by dates. And I just wanted to remind you, anything that's learning curve, you have to do all of them. Video Toolkit, you pick any one of the videos that are listed for a particular due date. Psych Investigator and Psych Sim, you're going to complete one. If you pick a Psych Investigator, it's completely self-contained. The quiz is embedded in the activity. If you pick a Psych Sim, you have to do the quiz after you do the tutorial. So let me show you. Go to the Assignment Center. Takes a second. And when it finally loads, you're going to think I've lost my ever-loving mind because this Assignment Center is so full. But remember, you're getting to pick on the Video Toolkits and the Psych Investigator Psych Sims, so it's not quite as bad as it looks at first. While we're waiting for it to load, I'd like to point out I left the Scientific American news feed here. It has interesting articles that update all the time that you might find. Like this memory trick increases password security, I found really interesting. I read that one. It's actually a really good piece of advice on how to make your passwords more memorable and harder to crack. Okay, so let's start with what's due next week, and you'll see this is, if you're a Washington Online student, this is these dates aren't your dates. So we've got Psych Investigator, we've got 4 of them that are all listed as being due on January 13th. You can pick any one of these 4 and complete it. I did the empirical reasoning one as an example to figure out how long it took and stuff like that. I was just kind of going through it. You pick one. So it looks like you've got 4 that are required, but you only pick one. Then you go down here to the video toolkit. Okay, so you see this gigantically long list of video toolkit activities that are all due on January 13th. You pick one. I picked this one on Schachter's affiliation experiment. You watch the video and you complete the 3-question quiz at the end, and then you're done. But the one assignment that you have to do everything that's listed is these learning curves that actually don't have a name on them. You'll notice that they're learning curves because see the number and subletters? Those are the learning curves, and every one that's due on that date has to be done by that date. You'll notice that some of them are worth 1 point and some are worth 2. I made sure that I altered how many points you need to get, how many game points you need to make it a reasonable amount of time that you're devoting to these activities. So if you've done your reading and you're reasonably competent in the material, these ones that are worth 1 point should take you probably 10 minutes to complete. The ones that are worth 2 points, 15 minutes maybe, so that all together you're looking at somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour if you prepared before you start taking the quiz. If you start playing the game and you haven't read the book and you really don't know the answers to things, it can take you way longer because you're going to need hints and you're going to need to be pointed to the ebook and do some background reading, and it'll take you longer to achieve the points that you need because you get fewer points if you need a hint. You get even fewer points if the game points you to the textbook. So you get the fastest accomplishment if you're able to answer the questions right the first time they're introduced. So you'll do all. So if it has points like this right next to it, you know that's a learning curve game, and you need to do all of them before the due date. Now here's a situation where we've got a Psych Sim, Psych Investigator, Psych Sim. But I'd like you to notice this one says Psych Sim 5 Online Quiz, Your Mind on Drugs. Psych Sim 5 Tutorial, Your Mind on Drugs. If you are more interested in your mind on drugs than you are in limits of consciousness, and so you choose the Psych Sim, you will first do the tutorial and then close it down. At the end, it'll ask you if you want to submit it to your teacher's gradebook. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work in this scenario. So instead, you're going to do the online quiz. And that's where you'll answer questions about the tutorial that you just completed. So it's going to be, see these nice little multiple choice questions. It only has 5. You click Save Answers, click Submit Quiz, and it'll go to the automatically to the gradebook, and you'll get your points. So if you pick a Psych Sim, you do the tutorial first, and then you do the online quiz. Okay, but remember, you only have to do one. So you either do the Your Mind on Drugs, or you do the Psych Investigator Limits of Consciousness. You pick. So now down here, due on January 27th, scroll up, okay. We've got one Psych Investigator, but I always like to give you choices. So I also gave you the Psych tutorials, the Psych Sim tutorials that you can pick from also. So you can decide among How Children Think, Cognitive Development, Conception to Birth, Signs of Aging, Who Am I? You pick one of those. If you happen to pick one that corresponds to a tutorial, then you have to do the follow-up quiz that goes with it. So hopefully that makes sense. If you want to not have to think about what to do next or whatever, anytime there's a Psych Investigator, it's self-contained. So there's very little thinking involved. It may, that may be the deciding factor in which task you choose. I want the one that's simple, please. That's perfectly legitimate. So however you want to do it, but you just pick one thing from Psych Investigator or Psych Sim and complete that, and make sure that if you do pick a Psych Sim that you do the follow-up quiz. Okay. Now you'll notice that in Chapter 3 we only have 2 topics on the learning curve, and so you'll notice that they're each worth a lot more than, let's say, this one where a bunch of them are 1s and 2s, right? Well, that's because I altered the number of points that you have to get per section in order to make it all together worth 45 to 60 minutes of your time. So this will take the same amount of time combined as this set will take combined, theoretically, if you've prepared and you're ready to take the quiz. So I tried to make sure that your weekly time investment is roughly the same. Okay, so hopefully this makes sense. I mean, look at this long list of video toolkits that you can pick from, because in the developmental chapters, there are a lot of videos that you can watch. And so there's a lot to pick from. You only have to pick one. I couldn't decide for you. I was like, I don't know, these all look kind of interesting. So I just went ahead and made the whole list. You pick one and complete it. You're only required to do one. So the learning curves are the only things that you're required to do all of them for the week. Okay, does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I think it'll start to become more sensible as you're doing it, and maybe potentially kind of confusing your first time through. Okay, so let me show you a couple of examples. So in a Psych Investigator, the thing that's interesting about it is it starts off with a little bit of a lecture rather than reading. In the Psych Sims, there will be reading on the slides. Psych Investigators, you'll have this person talking. So you go through her little lecture, and then they'll ask you questions. It's interactive kind of thing. So that's a pretty fun task if you don't mind listening to her lecture, right? I mean, I don't know, not everybody wants to hear her lecturing, right? If you go with a Psych Sim, there's more reading, but it's, sort of self-paced. You can decide how long it takes you to read through things. The video toolkit, if you pick, let's say, brain transplants in Parkinson's patients, which is a pretty interesting video, by the way. I'm going to pause it so it doesn't make noise. You can see more of the description before you decide which one to watch. It'll tell you it tells you how long it is, 10 minutes and 50 seconds, and it tells you basically what the topic is. So if it sounds interesting and then you get here and you're like, oh, that's not what I thought that was going to be, you can always go back to the assignment center and pick a different one. Or if you're looking for one of the 5-minute ones, oh, look, I hit back and then immediately went to teen boys. That's interesting. This one's only 2 minutes. That's weird. Huh. Wonder why I went to, well, anyway, that doesn't matter. So you can kind of pick by the top, just the title of the video right here, or you can go ahead and click on them and see a better description and decide. You can be like me and just go, I don't know, they all sound good. I'll just randomly click on one. That's how I picked this one. I just sort of randomly picked one, and it was really interesting. It's a good video. Actually, I've been using a lot of these in class for a while, so I kind of know what they all are. So video toolkit, you watch a video, you answer the 3 questions about it. On the learning curve, it's kind of like playing a video game. Not a great video game. There is no blood. There's nothing, super exciting going on in this video game. But you start out with a score of 0, and they'll tell you what your target score is on each game. So on this one, you need 150 points, and you have to do it before the due date passes in order to receive credit for the activity. If you reach that target, you get full credit for the assignment. So you want to do the activity. So start the activity. What I wanted to point out is, so your bars are already this far along, and you've got 0, right? So you've got to be filling up all these bars. It gives you a question, and then if you're like, I'm just really not sure, can I have a hint? It'll give you a hint, but that's going to reduce how many points you get for correctly answering this question. If you need to be shown the answer, then it doesn't give you points for the question. You won't lose points for wrong answers, but if you have to be shown where it is in the textbook, it'll give you fewer points than it would have if you were able to answer the question straight out. So it's in your best interest to be prepared before you take the learning quizzes, and you can tell what it's going to be about because it tells you at the very beginning. Oh, dang, I thought I could go backwards. Let's go that way. It tells you which topics from the textbook are going to be covered by this game. So you've got psychology's roots, the biggest question in 3 main levels of analysis, and then the subfields. So you can look at it, see what's going to be covered, read that section of the text, and then come back and take the quiz. So you know what you're being quizzed on, so that you can use your time as efficiently as possible. You can do the whole, what I would do if it were me is read the whole chapter or listen to all my lectures on the topic, and then come in and take the little learning curve game based on that. I would try and be completely prepared and just take it all in one big sitting. But you can get through part of this and then take a break and come back, and it'll store what you've got. You could do 1A and then come back on a different day or a few hours later and do 1B. However it fits into your schedule. The key thing is you have to do them by their deadlines, and the deadlines are always listed for you, so you'll always know what's going on. Once you've done work that is automatically scored in the system, it'll start to tell you, what points you've earned for different things. Now, this is the world's longest list because it thinks you have to do all of the video toolkits. So it starts to get to be pretty crazy. So you'll only expect to see points for the ones that you actually chose to do on the video toolkits. Sorry, I just hit my microphone. And you'll only see points for the ones that you chose to do on the Psych Sims or Psych Investigators. But at least you'll see the categories, how many points you've accumulated for the different categories. And then, of course, I'll transfer these points over into the Canvas gradebook where it'll make a lot more sense. Okay, well, hopefully this all makes sense. I'm going to go back to the home page again because I wanted to show you that if you run into any kind of technological problem with this website where something's not working correctly or you're unable to log in correctly or something like that, in many places along the way, the Worth publishers have provided help opportunities. Here in the top right corner, there's a button called Help. Down here on the left side navigation bar, there's the green question mark help. At the bottom of the home page, there's the phone number and more options, like if you want to chat or something like that, they have that. So they are your resource for any problem that you're having that is Psych portal related. If you're having a problem like the due date appears to be incorrect for a topic, let's say that you're in the assignment center and you think, hold on, I thought we were covering chapter 2 so that this should have been due on the 22nd. Why is it listed on the 15th? Something like that. That's something that you would email me about because I'm in charge of due dates. I'm in charge of points values, stuff like that. They're in charge of all the technological issues. So they're your first line of defense. I have to call them all the time myself, so I'm no help if you're having a technical problem with the Psych portal. But I am your content guru. I definitely know that. So if I've messed up any deadlines or something like that, I'm the person to hit on that one. All right. Well, I think that pretty much covers the Psych portal. I can't think of anything else. If you guys run into problems, please send me a message in the Canvas classroom in the inbox.